In my attic, in a green trunk, there is a small cigar box. And in it, I keep a lot of little treasures that I've collected. And in that cigar box that cigar box used to live on my father's bureau, and he would take out the contents of his pocket and put his little treasures into the cigar box. So there's a Kennedy dollar coin, and there is a silver dollar, and there is a name tag from one of his college reunions, and there was a business card and a button from a suit. And after he died, I ferreted that cigar box away and have kept it ever since. On the day he died, I left him seated at the kitchen table. He isn't normally seated at the kitchen table in the morning. He had usually left for work by then. But that morning, he was still there when we left for school. I was in 5th grade. My older sister was in 7th grade. My younger sister was in 3rd grade, and my youngest brother was in 1st grade. And so we left to go to school, and I remember for some reason, maybe because he was sitting there, I turned and gave him a hug and told him I loved him. And then I went off to school. That day in school was just like any other, until about 2:30. And at that time, the secretary of the school came on the loudspeaker in our classroom and said, "Mrs. Mayo, can you please send Catherine Potter down to the office?" And I was a good student, so I thought, of course I'll go down to the office. Maybe they need help with the mimeograph machine, or maybe they need me to deliver something back to the classroom. So I'd be happy to go. And as I was getting up to go down to the office for my errand, my teacher, Mrs. Mayo, said, "Catherine, you should probably take all of your books." And I thought, well, why do I need to take all of my books if I'm just doing a little errand for the school? But I gathered my books into my backpack and put on my coat and walked out into the hallway. And as I was walking out into the hallway, I heard the loudspeaker go off in my sister's classroom. She was in 3rd grade, and her classroom was right across the hall. And the secretary said, "Mrs. Smith, can you please send Louisa Potter down to the office?" And I thought, well, why is Louisa being asked to do this special errand? Why is she coming down to the office? And as I proceeded down the hallway, she emerged with her backpack and her coat, and we walked down the hallway together. It was a really long hallway. Our classrooms were at the end, the opposite end of the office, which was downstairs at the end of the hallway. And I remember walking down, it was really dark. There were only windows at each end of the hallway, and so the center of the hallway was really dark. And I remember kind of passing these rectangles of light as we walked, and really had no idea why we were being called down to the office. And I thought, is it the dentist? What is it? And in one of those rectangles of light, I peeked in and I saw our best friend, Beth Lindley, and she looked out and gave us the shrug of her shoulders as if asking, where are you going? And we mouthed, "We don't know." And we continued to the top of the stairs. And then when you go down the stairs in my elementary school, it drops you right almost in front of the office. So we went down the stairs and turned a corner to go into the office. And through the glass walls of the office, we saw my mother and our neighbors, the Balls, Mr. and Mrs. Ball. And I thought to myself, why are the Balls here? And as Louisa and I walked into the office, all of the adults came toward us and kind of pushed us back out of the office. and kind of hurried us to the front of the school. And we emerged out onto the sidewalk, and our station wagon was parked there on the sidewalk, next to the sidewalk, on the curb. And Mr. Ball went around to the driver's side where my mom always sits to drive, and got behind the wheel, and we were kind of being pushed into the back seat, and my sister climbed in quickly, and I saw my other sister right behind. She was sitting in the way back of the station wagon, and I didn't know why she was there, and my mother was kind of behind me, coming into the middle seat behind me. But before I got in, I turned to her and said, "Why are you here? Why are the Balls here?" And she said, "Your father has died." And I said, "Are you joking?" And she said, "I wouldn't joke about a thing like this."